Good morning. It's Thursday. I have David Helmricks here from the Department of Forestry.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, we're getting into summertime, and that means, well, I guess it's technically not summertime yet, like the middle of June, which I think is funny that it doesn't feel like right now is getting to be the longest day of the year, but June 21st is the longest day of the year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so it always feels like July, August is longer, but I don't know. So people are getting out and about doing a lot of spring cleaning, as you will, of their yard. We're starting to get flowers out, which means people have a lot of stuff probably to dispose of. Yeah. And the Department of Forestry helps with that.
Yeah. So we were able to again bring back the yard debris program. Vouchers for taking yard debris to one of the transfer stations. You can come get a voucher. They're spread out throughout the county. Our office has them. Is
that a list? That list there, is that all the places that have them? Okay, so he's got a list. Listen for a place that is near you or easy for you to access, because it is quite a list.
Yes, and there's some that I haven't gotten to get more out.
So are you in the process of distributing them at the moment?
I just haven't gotten out to get more locations. But Oregon Department of Forestry office off 3rd Street in Tillamook, Tillamook County Solid Waste Department off Marolf Loop.
Yep.
Tillamook City Hall, the County Commissioner's Office, Bay City
Which are literally across the street from each other.
Yep.
City Hall and the Commissioner's Office.
Some people don't go to them.
Sure.
The Cardam Transfer Station, the Pacific City.
Which is up north, right?
Which is
Cardam's
up north, which is up in Nehalem. The Pacific City Transfer Station, which is off Burton Road. And then all the fire district main stations, Tillamook, Nestucca, Netarts, Oceanside, Bay City, Garibaldi, Rockaway, and Nehalem Bay. They all have a stack of vouchers as well. You just pick one or two up from one of those locations, take it with you to the transfer stations, make sure you fill it out, show it to them, and then that way when you go through you can dump your yard debris and don't have to pay for it,
which is great. It
is great. You can take, like I said, up to 9 cubic yards of yard debris. It's basically a pickup truck and a small trailer.
Oh wow, which is
so it's quite a bit. Yeah. There's a list on the vouchers of what you can take and what you can't take, so make sure
what are some things we can't take?
Some things the unacceptable items are tree stumps, no household trash or plastic bags, and sod with dirt. So basically grass clumps you can't take with dirt, but pretty much any other yard debris you can take.
Tree trimmings, bush trimmings.
Yep, tree limbs,
lawn clippings, right? You could take lawn clippings.
Yard and lawn clippings, branches, twigs, shrubs, weeds, woody debris, rose bush clippings. Those are some of the main ones you can take.
It's a pretty small list of things you can't do, which seems kind of, when you said like tree stumps, well, yeah.
It's more or less when the transfer stations get all the stuff in together, they put it in a big chipper, and they can't chip the sod and the stumps because they're too big, or it's dirt.
Yeah. I don't think a clump of grass with dirt on it is going to go through a chipper real well. And what is the time frame to use those?
From May 1st to September 30th.
Okay.
Main time why we extended the time is to give people an opportunity during the middle of summer when we go into burn ban to get rid of the yard debris instead of piling it up and waiting for a fall to burn. Yeah.
And you mentioned you could like grab one, so you can do a bunch of stuff now, and then maybe like in August, if you're doing some more cleaning, you could, like my husband, we trimmed a 17-foot hedge over last August, and you know what we did? We kept it and burned it.
Yeah.
But we burnt it like it's been sitting around, and we just finished burning it.
Yeah. I mean,
we waited until it rained.
That's time. If it's raining, good time to burn. Yeah. But now we're getting closer to summer. You want to make sure that your burning is done, because fires do hold over. If people have been watching the news, they had a holdover on the Eagle Creek fire.
Yeah.
That was from back August, September.
Right.
So that's, a prime example. Fires do hold over quite some time if you have the right conditions.
Yeah. Well, I totally get that because we had a big pile of branches, and I'm talking like October, November, burnt it down, and that sucker smoldered itself down for like 4 days.
Yep.
We kept an eye on it, and it wasn't an active flame or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, those ashes insulate the embers underneath for a long time, and it burnt itself down to nothing.
And if you end up burning where there was a stump or something, and
sure,
that stump will still smolder and follow those roots, and those roots can go for 20, 30 feet out. And if they end up popping up somewhere where they get a little bit of air, they can take off again. So that's even with burning this late into the spring and early summer, is you got to be aware of one, you have to have a permit.
Right.
Either from a local fire district or from ODF if we're in fire season. And make sure you're following the burn regulations. We go into a burn ban for piles on July 15th and then August 1st for burn barrels. So anytime after those 2 dates for piles is illegal.
Right.
It's put on, burn ban is effective by the Tillamook County Fire Defense Board, which is all the fire chiefs. And then also direction from ODF as well and the Forest Service.
And those dates can fluctuate depending on what our weather's been like.
Yeah,
right?
if the weather conditions, if we don't end up getting any more rain or heavy rains by, beginning of July, we could possibly go into burn ban beginning of July.
July 1st.
We did that a couple years ago. We didn't basically started drying out, and we didn't get any rains or significant precip before then. So that way we basically shut burning down early, and that was a complete burn ban, piles and burn barrels all at once
on July 1.
Yeah.
And the burn bans typically run until when?
Normally until October. We want to make sure that we've got a significant rainfall before we open it up. We'll open burn barrels up first. And sometimes
they're safer, they're more contained.
And then piles will open up afterwards. But those dates can always fluctuate. I think we try and look for about October 15th or so before we open those up. But again, we need a significant amount of rain first before we open those up.
Yeah. And then if you're on the beach doing a campfire or at a campground doing a campfire, how is that affected with a burn ban?
So if you're at a campground on the Tillamook State Forest, that's part of the regulated use closure. We have information boards basically main roads.
Yes, you mean the little thermometer thing that says like what the burn.
It's the fire danger rating.
Fire danger. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That tells you kind of about what the fire danger that we're at. But the forest information boards are if you go up Highway 6. And if you want to go up Cedar Butte, there's a forest information board, and they're also going to have posted
kind of like at the start of
at the start. They're going to have you'll see our regulated use closures, and they're basically telling you that no campfires unless in designated campsites, and those are pre-established, normally with a metal ring, not with just rocks. And they're going to be in designated campsites. State parks, they have their own regulations, so they may enforce different ones. But they'll normally let you know as you enter the state parks.
Right.
Sometimes they do go into a complete no campfires, but that's more, they kind of enforce that themselves.
I see.
On the beaches themselves, you can have campfires on beaches if they're allowed again. Big thing is you want to make sure that they're 50 feet away from any vegetation. Not in driftwood piles. And we preferred them to be within the high tide line.
Oh, so sure. Because when the high tide comes in, then it'll absolutely make sure it's out.
It gets washed away.
Yeah.
And if you do end up putting it out, don't bury it with sand. Because it actually will hold the heat and it insulates it.
So dump water on it.
Yeah, you don't want someone to walk through and end up falling into a hot, basically what we call an ash pit.
Yeah.
Because someone could possibly do that and burn their whole leg and foot.
Has that happened?
It's happened before. We even occasionally have people do that even on fires, just not paying attention or just walking through and it looks solid. and they step into an ash pit and they can sink up to their knee.
Yikes.
In ash.
That's scary.
So,
yeah. Going back to yard debris and cleaning up your yard and things like that. I mean, forest fires aren't a real big thing around here. I mean, they were, the Tillamook burn, but I know in areas where it's a little bit drier, like Central Oregon and Eastern Oregon, there are certain things that you need to, what did you call them? A clear space around your,
yeah,
right?
You want to make sure I have a good clear space around your campfire. If you're out camping, they recommend, and even we recommend, clear down to bare dirt, mineral soil, at least 10 feet around your campfire. That way it gives a good buffer for any sparks to land that they're not going to catch.
Because if you have some dry twigs over there and you're not paying attention and a spark comes out.
Dry twigs, dry grass. When I go into all the schools, for us, we have a lot of beach fires. I go into schools during the month of May for Wildfire Awareness Month, which is ending up today. Bear? I go with Smokey Bear. I teach third grade students about campfire safety, and one of my slides on my PowerPoint presentation is a picture of beach grass.
Oh, sure.
And I basically tell the students that if you were to have a fire in beach grass with a little bit of winds that we normally have every afternoon, summer afternoon.
Man, it's been rough the last couple days
it
too.
Has been. That a fire will burn through that beach grass faster than anybody can run in this classroom.
Yeah, sure. That's because that is dry stuff.
It's dry grass and it's oily. It carries fire really fast. So that's why, one thing I tell all of the students that.
Yeah. Well, and that's something tangible they can understand. Like they know how fast they can run.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And so it's like, whoa, puts it into perspective for them.
Yeah. Do we need to be concerned, or should we, when we're doing yard work, making sure that we have certain clear spaces around our house and structures?
Yeah. You want to make sure that, the, burn piles and burn barrels are at least about 20, 25 feet away from any structure. There's on the burn regulations, they have actual specified distances that you're supposed to be and meet.
Right.
You want to make sure that, again, it's cleared as well. Not a lot of people do clear it, but if you've got a big pile and you burn down, and every year that after that, you're just burning smaller piles.
Sure.
You've already kind of cleared that natural kind
burn
of
area.
Yeah. But if not, you want to make sure it's nice and green, cut down or mowed grass, and then also making sure that you have a water source.
I was going to mention that to tend to the fire, right?
Yes, you want to attend the fire. Don't leave and that's part of the burn permit is one person in attendance at all times. And you're supposed to technically put it out at night. But if it's just smoldering at night,
it can look like it's out at night. It's crazy. Yeah. Like I said, and then it would rain, the burn pile that we had, and then it would like drizzle rain, and I'd be like, is the fire smoking? And I was like, no, I think it's steaming. Like it's still hot under there. It's crazy.
Yeah. And
that ash provides an amazing insulator.
It does. And as it burns, you're basically burning that mineral soil too. So you're creating a more of a ash pit as you continue to burn in the same spot.
Yeah.
So you want to make a big thing is have a water source, buckets of water or a garden hose. And have a tool or two to be able to attend to it. Because and
stand out there. It doesn't mean just keep an eye on it while it's burning. Like you need to be out there.
You need to be out there. If you're doing yard work and you can still see it, that's okay as well. But big thing is you want to be able to get to it within a quick couple seconds if something happens. Because if a fire were to start on your land and move to someone else's land, and you don't do any effort to put the fire out, you're responsible for any damages. Right. Especially during the fire season, we'll go after cost collections if that were to happen. If you were to be there and you're trying to put your fire out and trying to contain it, and you do all reasonable effort to put it out, then we'll look at it and we'll evaluate if we're going to do cost collections or not, or do any law enforcement. If anything, it will be just a warning. But if it happens more than once, the second one will be an actual citation.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to get a burn permit even if it's not in fire season? Like
Yes.
if it's just, let's say it's November and you have a pile of stuff that you want. And
Yep.
I will say we have a burn permit, but I'm asking in case someone's listening and thinking, oh, well, I want to burn, but it's not within whatever we consider fire season.
Yeah. You're supposed to have a burn permit from your local fire district, unless you're outside a fire district, and ODF and everybody else is in fire season. Then ODF will issue a burn permit if you're outside a fire district. But most fire districts, you have to have a permit from them.
Yeah.
Some of them you have to go into the station and get an actual hard copy, or I know Tillamook Fire District, you can go online and do a request online, and they will email it to you.
And it's free, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything. Lasts for a year. Is
some
that right?
of them are a year, some of them are a little longer than that. It depends on the fire district themselves.
Right.
So most of ours from ODF will actually put a date on. And normally it's till the end of fire season, because after fire season, we don't require an actual permit.
Gotcha. My brain jumped back to the conversation about tending a fire. Having like an 8-year-old is probably not a good idea to tend a fire, right?
No, it needs to be a responsible adult over probably the age of 18 to be out there attending the fire.
Yeah, my brain jumped there because my dad, he would be out there, but he would let us man the hose on the burn piles.
And that's totally fine. I mean, kids love to be out there.
But they need to be supervised.
But it needs to be a supervised adult out there with the kids as well.
Yeah. So. Be safe. Are there other safe burning things that we need to know that we haven't covered? What are things we shouldn't burn? Let's talk about
things that you shouldn't burn. There's a lot of those, because
Yeah.
those actually, if we are out there, if we're in fire season, we will be enforcing those. If not, the Tillamook County Solid Waste will, and they'll pass those on to DEQ. Things you shouldn't burn is basically anything that's not wood products or yard debris. Trash you can't burn. Any cellophane off these hay bales you're not supposed to burn. Any animal parts, nothing like that we're supposed to be burning. Pretty much that's not anything that's not natural. You shouldn't be burning.
Yeah. Well, someone could say that animal stuff parts are natural, but yard debris, vegetation.
Debris. Yep.
Yeah.
We get called out to a lot of these burn piles. I'm not pointing fingers at the farmers or anything, but we do respond to a lot of these farmers we all of a sudden see a black column of smoke, and it's not just us, it's the fire districts as well.
Right.
And we get there and we notice that there's mattress frames, there's metal, there's all this other stuff. Well, that's stuff that you can't burn. If we're not in fire season, we're not going to enforce it. We don't have any laws that we can tell us that we have to enforce it. A lot of times then the fire districts will pass it on to the Tillamook County Solid Waste, and they will then pass and enforce it themselves or pass it on to DEQ.
Gotcha. All that's supposed to be taken to the dump, essentially.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything, I mean, household stuff, unless it's non-treated wood, can be burned. Any furniture, anything like that needs to go to the dump and be disposed of properly.
Yeah, and a lot of those things, it's a safety thing, but they're treated with chemicals, and all of those chemicals then go into our air. Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, we're not regulated by DEQ here in Tillamook County, but if you're over in the valley, there's going to be a big thing, but still they have authority over here as well. Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about TBCC. Registration is open for summer term classes at Tillamook Bay Community College. If you're looking to get started on your college education in this year, summer is a great time to start. While they have a truncated schedule, they still do have a large group of classes. If this is your first time enrolling at TBCC as a degree-seeking student, you need to complete an admissions application. You can get started online at the TBCC website or by visiting Student Services Office at the college's main campus on 3rd Street. Students who have recently taken classes at TBCC can register online. A schedule of credit courses and non-community education classes offered throughout the term is available on the TBCC website. Don't let another year go by before you decide to start achieving your dreams. Career education advisors are available to support you every step of the way. If you need, you can contact Student Services at 842-8222 extension 1100 or visit them online at tillamookbaycc.edu. So we're talking with David Helmricks from the Department of Forestry. Have we covered just about everything about burning? Because I wanted to maybe jump to forest fires real quick.
I think so.
Okay. Don't forget, we'll mention it maybe a couple times throughout the month, but yard debris vouchers are available at a variety of locations.
Yep. And the big thing is, if you have any questions, just call the Oregon Department of Forestry, and we'll let you know where their closest place might be for you to pick them up.
Yeah. And questions about burning too, right? Better safe than sorry.
Burning, you can either call our office or call the local fire district, and we'll answer any questions about that.
So yeah, we have just a few minutes left. We don't see a lot of forest fire type things around here because we are pretty wet throughout the year. But yeah, we drove out to Pendleton in January, and I hadn't been out in the gorge. My parents live in Troutdale, but we hadn't been out there and that far east since before the fire, the Eagle Creek fire. It was insane. I couldn't believe how far down it burned, and how you could see like where the fire went, and then how there would be like a clump of 5 trees that wouldn't have been touched. Yeah. You know, it was really interesting, and how massive it was. It was huge. And then you just said it's held over, and you've had little things start to pop up now.
Yeah. There's a lot of fires actually that burn late in the season. They hold over quite a bit. There's been, any of those large fires, trying to completely put it out 100% is pretty difficult. We work on trying to get a good couple 100 feet in off the perimeter and extinguish everything within that couple 100 feet.
And then kind of let it burn itself out in the middle.
Sometimes, burn itself out. If it's a big we can see a lot of smoke coming from one spot, we'll go and look for it, and we'll extinguish it. But we're doing a lot of patrolling and mop up even afterwards.
Sure.
Some of those local districts were out there even during the middle of winter, probably working on spots as well.
If you are driving, let's say you're driving out on 84 out in Pendleton or something, you see something. Well, I guess they don't really have forests out there, but if you're driving somewhere, maybe you're going to Bend and you see smoke, what do? Call it in 911.
Call 911. They'll get it to their local fire districts or fire departments, and then if it's out far enough, they'll also notify the local interagency dispatch center. Like for Bend, it would be Central Oregon Interagency Dispatch Center, and they'll be notifying Forest Service, BLM, or ODF, depending on where it's
depending on the land that it's on. And what are, because I'm just thinking, like, just even going over Highway 6, what's the best way? Know what milepost you're at, I guess?
Know what milepost you're at.
And any other distinguishing.
If there's an address sign, because there's multiple homes that are up there. If it's across from a specific address, make sure you let the dispatcher or 911 know. But the big thing is if you know exactly mile marker, even up off some of the logging roads, if you know a mile marker, that would be the best thing to let us know. So that way we have a better idea. If you're out there in the woods driving around on the logging roads, if you have a GPS, giving us a GPS coordinate would be good. Even some of the phones nowadays, you don't have to have cell service to actually get a GPS coordinate, depending on what app you're using.
Right. And what is, because I know this is always an issue, forest fire safety. When there is a forest fire, inevitably there are people that will go around the close signs or want to get up close and get a good picture of it. It seems pretty common sense what forest fire safety is, but
the big thing is if you
sometimes that doesn't happen.
If there's a fire in the area and there's a closure, you need to follow the closure stay out of the area. It's not just for your safety, but it's also the firefighter safety as well. Because we don't want to be worrying about the public coming in and having to worry about trying to get them out in case weather conditions and fire behavior changes.
Which they can.
They can change
in a second.
Yep, they change very quickly. We've got several safety topics for us that we keep note of in times of the day that we watch. We take a break at certain times because that's a
generally
set time. Normally
time.
Things change.
And something people might not know, fires create their own weather.
Yes, the fires do, especially once they get bigger. Bigger fires create their own weather. There's been times where there's actually thunderstorms that have been created from smoke columns out of large fires. So again,
which doesn't help the situation.
No, it doesn't.
Because then it's striking up new spots.
But the big thing is making sure if you see a fire, unless it's hasn't been reported or you don't see any fire fire engines or anything around, make sure you report it. If not, stay back.
And don't assume someone else is going to call it in. I feel like it's, again, better safe than sorry. Call it in. What's it going to take? An extra 5 minutes out of your life to call it in? And who knows? Maybe no one has called it in. Yeah. And if everyone drives by and sees it and thinks, oh, well, the car behind me will call it in, no one's calling it in. Yeah. And that beginning part is very crucial. Yep.
The quicker we can get on fires, the better, because we'd like to keep them as small as possible.
Hey, look at that. It's 10 o'clock. Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Pick up your yard debris. Can you go online and find a list of where it is? Or
no, they're not online.
Okay. I mean like a list of where they're available at.
No, we don't. But
transfer stations, city halls.
Yep. Our Oregon Department of Forestry office. If you go there, we've got, and fire districts, they've got a list of where they're at as well.
It seems like there's quite a number of places to get them.
Yes.
So. Let's see. Tomorrow we will have the Farm Bureau here. Don't forget senior meals, noon every weekday at the Kiowana Community Center in Pacific City, as well as the Tillamook Senior Center at 4th and Stillwell. Cost us $3 for seniors and $6.75 for everyone else. June Dairy Parade applications are due today. They were not mailed out this year. Instead, applications are available online at junedairyparade.com or at the chamber office, 842-7525. The Strawberry Lady will be selling fresh strawberries at the co-op today and Saturday starting at 12 noon. Saturday and Sunday is the annual Jetty Fisheries Nehalem Bay Crab Derby. This year it benefits the Rockaway Lions Club. And TAPA is holding auditions for their fall comedy, God of Carnage, on Saturday and Sunday at 11 at the Barn Community Playhouse, which is across the street from Les Schwab. Audition packets are available at tillamooktheater.com. Dave, thanks for coming in again.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Tillamook, for listening.